Hello, I am recording the video and today's topic is store procedure. A store procedure, also termed proc, store, sproc, stoproc, storeproc, storeproc, sp, is a subroutine available to applications that access a relational database management system. Such procedures are stored in database, data dictionary. Uses for store procedure include data validation integrated into the database or access control mechanism. Furthermore, store procedures can consolidate and centralize logic was originally implemented in applications. To save time and memory, extensive or complex processing that requires execution of several SQL statements can be saved into store procedures, and all applications call the procedures. One can use nested store procedures by executing one store procedure from within another. Stored procedure may return result sets, that is, the results of a select statement. Such result sets can be processed using cursor by other store procedure by associating a result set locator or by applications. Store procedures may also contain declared variables for processing data and cursor that allow it to loop through multiple rows in a table. Store procedure flow control statements typically includes if, while, loop, repeat and case statements and more. Store procedures can receive a variables, returns result or modify variables and return them depending on how and where the variable is declared. The exact and correct implementation of store procedure varies from one database system to the other. Most major database vendors support them in some form. Depending on the database system, store procedure can be implemented in a variety of programming languages. For example, SQL, Java, C, or C++. Store procedure written in a non-SQL languages may or may not execute SQL statement themselves. Comparison with static SQL. Overhead. Because store procedure statements are stored directly in the database, they may remove all or part of the compiling overhead that is typically needed in situation where software applications send inline SQL queries to a database. However, most database systems implement statement cache and other methods to avoid repeatedly compiling dynamic SQL statements. Also, while they avoid some pre-compiled SQL statement, add to the complexity of creating an optimal execution plan because not all arguments of the SQL statements are supplied at compile time. Depending on the specific database implementation and configuration, mixed performance result will be seen from store procedure versus generic queries or user defined functions. Avoiding network traffic. A major advantage of store procedure is that they can run directly within the database engine. In a production system, this typically means that the procedure run entirely on a specialized database server which has direct access to the data being accessed. The benefit here is that in network communication costs can be avoided completely. This becomes more important for complex series of SQL statements. Encapsulating business logic. Store procedure allows programmers to embed business logic as an API in the database, which can simplify data management and reduce the need to encode the logic elsewhere in a client programs. This can result in a lesser likelihood of data corruption by faulty client programs. The database system can ensure data integrity and consistency with the help of store procedure. Delegating access rights. In many systems, store procedure can be grant access rights to the database that user who execute those procedures do not directly have. Some protection from SQL injection attacks. Store procedure can be used to protect against injection attacks. Store procedure parameters will be treated as the data even if an attack insert SQL command. Also some DBMS will check the parameter type. However, store procedure that in turn generates dynamic SQL using the input is still unavailable to SQL injection unless proper precautions are taken. Other uses. In some system, store procedure can be used to control transaction management. In others, store procedure run inside a transaction such that the transactions are effectively transparent to them. Store procedure can also be invoked from a database trigger or a condition handler. For example, a store procedure may be triggered by an insert on a specific table or update of a specific field in table, and the code inside the store procedure would be executed. Writing store procedures as a condition handlers also allows database administrator to track error in the system with great detail by using store procedure to catch the error and record some audit information in the database or an external resources like a file. Comparison with a function. A function is a sub-program written to perform certain computations. A scalar function return only one value, whereas a table function return a table comprising 0 or more rows, each row with one or more columns. Function must return a value, but for store procedure this is not mandatory. Function could be used in select statements provided they do not data manipulation. However, procedure cannot be included in select statement. A store procedure can return multiple values using the out parameter or return no value. A store procedure save the query compiling time. A store procedure is a database object. A store procedure is a material object. Comparison with prepared statements. Prepared statements take an ordinary statement or query and parameterize it so that different literal values can be used at a later time. Like store procedure, they are stored on the server for efficiency and provide some protection from SQL injection attacks. Although simpler and more declarative, prepared statements are not ordinarily written to use procedural logic and cannot operate on variables. Because of their simple interface and client-side implementation, prepared statements are more widely usable between DBMS. Thank you.